will lead the flag.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Cornell.
Here.
Mrs. Matthews.
Yes.
Mr. Jess.
Here.
Mr. Prudente.
Here.
Mr. Pontillo.
Here.
Mrs. Schweitzer.
Here.
Mrs. Van Horn.
Here.
Mr. Sergio.
Present.
Mrs. Olson.
Here.
Mrs. Fabrizi.
Here.
Public notice, adequate notice of this meeting in compliance with Chapter 231 of the Public Laws of 1975, entitled the Open Public Meetings Act, has been provided by action of the Board of Education on November 21st, 2017. Notice has been provided to the two newspapers circulated in the school district, and a posted notice to this effect on the Board of Education Building Bulletin Board, Administrative Headquarters, 51 West Cliff Street, Somerville, New Jersey. Now, for those of you who have printed agendas, we are doing something unusual this evening. We are going to go into executive session, which should be a short one. At this point, we will be back as soon as possible, and we will go through the door over there. Okay? There you go.
You need a motion.
Pardon me?
Motion for matters of attorney.
Second. We have to read it.
Oh, okay. Resolved that the Board of Education move to recess into executive session to discuss matters falling within the attorney-client privilege. The minutes of the executive session, to the extent permitted by law, will be made available to the public once the issues are resolved, subject to confidentiality requirements.
So moved.
Second. Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Yes.
Good evening, Patrick Frayne, 201 Scobie Lane, Somerset, New Jersey, President of the Somerville Education Association. This is pertaining to board item number 12, ad hoc negotiations. At the last session we had negotiations on the 12th, last Monday. One word that stood out, what was it, the 16th? Thank you very much. The one word that stood out that was continuously said by the board attorney was maximization. Maximize this. Maximize that. Just keep on maximizing. We're going to maximize this. Well, at the same time thinking, the only thing that's getting maximized at this time was the billable hours by the board's attorney. Back in June, the tab for the board's attorney was $54,000 for the negotiations, this round of negotiations. By now, it's probably up to $60,000. This is also the same attorney that charged North Plainfield, I believe, $148,000 for negotiations. That money could be spent on an ESL program or special ed, or possibly a teacher's salaries so they don't lose their house like a teacher has already in this district. Or, this is also the same firm that charged $451,555.83 to the boards of ed of Long Beach Island. All right? I'm going to find out. I'm getting to my point, Ms. Olson.
Thank you.
The point is that this money is much better spent in other ways rather than paying an attorney that's just raking you over the coals with billable hours.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay. Approval of minutes. Resolved that the Board of Education approve the minutes of the Board of Education meetings as follows. June 12, 2018, regular meeting and executive session.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion, questions, corrections? Roll call, please.
Mr. Cornell.
Yes.
Mrs. Matthews.
Yes.
Mr. Jess.
Yes.
Mr. Prudente.
Yes.
Mr. Pontillo.
Yes.
Mrs. Schweitzer.
Yes.
Mrs. Van Horn.
Yes.
Mr. Sergio.
Yes.
Mrs. Olson.
Yes.
Mrs. Fabrizi.
Yes.
Superintendent's report.
Okay.
Dr. Teahan.
District highlights. Vanderveer Preschool to Grade 2. July 2nd marked day 1 of Tech Camp. 45 children from grades K to 8 showed up for summer of coding, engineering, video, and music production. In the weeks the camp has been running, the students have constructed dams showcasing structural engineering skills, developed virtual reality simulations of the halls of SMS, and learned how to code robots to complete commands. The art component highlights stop-motion videos, which taps into artistic strands. Feel free to visit Tech Expo on July 26th at 10:30 in the middle school to see all the completed projects. Over 100 students are attending the Title I Summer Reading Program. The students are busy researching a variety of topics while strengthening their literacy skills. The students can be seen entering and exiting SMS each day with a bag of books as they are rewarded for reading at home. This strong homeschool partnership is a highlight of the program as students are given medals as they reach benchmark steps. Almost 20 families have been benefited from the partnership maintained between the district and Empower Somerset as they receive weekly tote bags of food as part of the Pioneer Family for Success program. And the VDV teachers are looking forward to attending the Ed Camp on August 28th being held here in Somerville. For Somerville Middle School, as we said before, is hosting the summer programs this year, and as a result, the building is still abuzz with activity. The summer programs have been a huge hit this year. Students are eagerly arriving in the morning to attend their selected program, whether it be the reading program, technology camp, fine and performing arts, extended school year, or MAPS. And for Somerville High School, once again, a big congratulations to the class of 2018 as Somerville High School held its 130th commencement ceremony on Thursday, June 21st. Student speeches included Somerville High School valedictorian Megan Moran and salutatorian Kristen Lois. And that concludes district highlights.
Thank you. Is there any old business that needs to be addressed? New business, it is recommended that items 1 through 4 be moved upon the recommendation of the superintendent of schools. That is harassment, intimidation, and bullying report, donation to the middle school in the amount of $200 from Brian and Barbara Lazarus for 8th grade promotion awards, a donation to Somerville Middle School in the amount of $200 from the VFW Post 2141 to be used to purchase computer carry bags for the 6th grade students. And fourth is the IDEA preschool grant application for the 2018-19 fiscal year.
So moved. Second.
Discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Cornell.
Yes.
Mrs. Matthews.
Yes.
Mr. Jess.
Yes.
Mr. Prudente.
Yes.
Mr. Puntillo.
Yes.
Mrs. Schweitzer.
Yes.
Mrs. Van Horn.
Yes.
Mr. Sergio.
Yes.
Mrs. Olson.
Yes. It is recommended that items 5 through 27 be moved upon the recommendation of the superintendent of schools. That is the harassment, intimidation, and bullying report for the high school. The approval of the nursing services plan for the 2017-18 year. The high school softball spring training trip to Disney World. Donation to Somerville High School in the amount of $10,500 used to offset the stipends for the individuals assisting the marching band, and that is from the band booster. Modification to Somerville High School bell schedule, partnership between the Somerville High School Guidance Department and the Cancer Support Community, an agreement between Somerville Public Schools and the YMCA to use their pool, mentoring program at Somerville High School, creation of a volunteer mentoring program at the high school. The IDEA basic grant application for the 2018-19 school year, fiscal year. The 2018-19 strong evaluation model be adopted. Somerville Public School District mentoring plan, the superintendent's merit pay, joint presentation contracts, non-public school technology initiative program, and this is for Immaculate Conception School, disposal of obsolete materials, purchase of interactive technology products for classrooms, change order for the kitchen upgrades at the high school, another change order for the kitchen upgrades. Use of Bayada Home Health Care Incorporated for nursing service, and 24, the Delta T Group North Jersey Incorporated nursing service. And this is, we've been using Bayada and will continue to do so, but we are going to try Delta T Group in addition for at least one case. Fiscal year 2019 grant salaries, and that's how people are being paid for services being performed under grants. Field trips, travel, resolutions. Okay? May I have a motion?
Motion.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Are there any questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Mr. Cornell.
Yes.
Mrs. Matthews.
Yes.
Mr. Jess.
Yes.
Mr. Prudente.
Yes.
Mr. Puntillo.
Yes.
Mrs. Schweitzer.
Yes.
Mrs. Van Horn.
Yes.
Mr. Sergio.
Yes.
Mrs. Olson.
Yes.
Mrs. Fabrizi.
Yes.
Okay, we've come to the point in the agenda where we will have the Donaldson hearing that's been requested.
Here.
Is Mr. Franny here? I don't see him.
Where'd you like me to go?
Wherever you would be comfortable with.
Yes. Go to the podium. Everybody's not.
I just make a comment. Start. Thank you. Mr. Franny, before you begin, I just want to introduce myself. My name is Mark Sittimer. I'm the board attorney this evening at the meeting. We understand that you have compelled, obviously, this Donaldson hearing into public session. Just want to confirm that that's the case.
Yes, sir.
And you understand you're waiving your right to privacy and confidentiality.
We're all here.
Okay, so we've set aside 20 minutes for your hearing. The board is going to turn the floor over to you and let you present it with whatever information you'd like it to consider in support of your position that you should be offered a contract for the 18-19 school year.
Sure.
Okay.
We'll not take that much of your time.
All right.
I see there's
All
clearly
yours.
another topic at hand tonight with girls soccer clearly not being listened to again. I want to thank the board for allowing me the opportunity to address the decision of my non-renewal before you tonight. I'm not here to point fingers or make accusations. I want to spend a few minutes to share my story with you, how I wound up at Somerville High School as the director of athletics, and my concern over the change in direction that we've taken over the past few months. I was born and raised here in Somerset County, grew up in Bridgewater. Somerset County is my home. It remains that way for my parents, my brother's family. I went to high school at Bridgewater Raritan High School. I was probably a coach's nightmare, plenty of talent, not necessarily as motivated as I could have been. I played 2 sports, football and wrestling. I earned 7 varsity letters in those 8 seasons and was a captain of both of those teams. I wrestled for a Division I program at North Carolina State University before finishing my degree at the Citadel, the Military College of South Carolina, where I earned a master's degree in leadership. I started my career in education in Charleston, South Carolina, where I was blessed to meet my future wife. My goal in education was to be a teacher and a coach, with the possibility of being an athletic director was always on my mind. In my world, Somerville High School was always a goal. It was the most historic program in Somerset County. Not only was I familiar with the Somerville teams from competing against the Orange and the Black during my high school years, but several of my mentors had ties to the Ville. Carl Wigner, the current president of the Skyline Conference, was my athletic director in high school and encouraged me to take this job. Rocky Fort, a relative and someone I consider my greatest mentor growing up as a wrestler, is in the Hall of Fame at Somerville High School, as he was a standout in football, wrestling, baseball at Somerville, later became the wrestling head coach at Hillsborough High School and the athletic director at Hillsborough High School as well, where the gym is named in his honor. Growing up, I was involved in wrestling. I knew the names in Somerville. Dave Kinney, Coach Ritrell has been coaching here since 1971. There's a reason why they all stick around. This is without a question the home of athletics in Somerset County. The men I mentioned earlier, Rocky Fort and Carl Wigner, are men of integrity and are both greatly respected by their peers, and I desperately want to share in what they had accomplished as athletic directors in our conference and more importantly as men. We moved to New Jersey in 2001 with our first stop being Point Pleasant Borough, where I taught history and coached wrestling. As head coach, our team won the first state wrestling championship in school history, had numerous individual accolades, and in my last year there was named the coach of the year for the Ocean County Observer for the county. Our next stop got me one step closer to Somerville, back to Somerset County in Boundbrook. This time as an administrator, assistant principal, and finally an AD, all while acting as the head wrestling coach, where our teams won 4 county titles in a row, quite a few sectional championships, and the school's first group championship. We finished my last year nationally ranked in the top 20. That season I was named the Curry News Area Coach of the Year. In the spring of 2014, I began conversations with Dr. Purnell, the superintendent of Somerville, to discuss the possibility of coming to Somerville as the AD. The current AD was overwhelmed with the prior governor's mandates for observations, and athletics, quite honestly, was taking the brunt of it. In a deal that was 5 months in the making, I left Bound Brook to take the job in Somerville, and along the way, I took a pay cut of nearly $20,000 per year. I was reassured of two things. Personnel decisions would not be questioned, and if my daughters made the decision to join me at Somerville, they would be welcome. The cut in pay was worth it in my mind, as Somerville needed help along on the athletic front. The Ville was supposed to be the giant of Somerset County athletics, but along the way, I'd come on hard times with a 20-plus game losing streak in football, and quite honestly, was not up to par with the rest of the conference. My wife, probably the most supportive spouse out there, in order to support my latest endeavor, was forced to leave a part-time job and go back to work teaching full-time at Voorhees. In October of 2014, I officially became the AD at Somerville after an extensive interview with this board, 5 of whom of you still remain. I still remember where you were sitting, I remember the questions that were asked, and I remember what I was asked to do. Fix football, increase participation numbers, increase the number of student athletes on the basketball team from Somerville, and stop our high-end student athletes from leaving for a private school education athletic experience. I was excited that it was clear that there was real support in bringing change to these struggling programs. I can sit here and spat out all the success stories this year, but they're too numerous to list, and I certainly don't want to leave anybody out. Our chair of the athletic committee that met regularly, Mr. Sergio, has done an outstanding job of recapping our many victories along the way, and I'll leave it there. For the record, I can happily say we fixed football with Jeff Vanderbeek and his amazing staff. Participation numbers are way up. 100-plus more students appeared on our rosters in 2018 than in 2015, with more than 70 of those in the increase being on the girls' side. We added a level of girls' basketball and now have dozens of girls playing golf. We've entered into agreement with 3 feeder programs, BTSC, BLL, and SBU, for field access that wasn't available just 4 years ago. A primary example of quite honestly what you need to do to build programs. With the help of some of our Option 2 students, another successful program, we created a series of summer camps for 2017 that allowed our future pioneers to pay a fraction of the normal camp rate to attend with our great coaches. I'm saddened to say this was not allowed in 2018. I would have to say our biggest and most lasting accomplishment is our connection with the athletic program to the life skills program. Shopping and cutting up oranges for our football team is where it started, attending their games, then the development of our sectional champion unified bowling program, as well as winning Varsity Brands Award for the Spirit of Inclusion, are without question the highlights of my time at Somerville. For the first 3 years of my tenure at Somerville under Dr. Purnell, I would say expectations were exceeded, and I felt a tremendous amount of support in the direction of all of our programs. I was in regular communication with him to discuss athletics matters and get his opinion on items big and small. Email, phone, and in-person meetings were regular occurrences, as was his attendance at our athletic events. Home games, away games, NJSA games, senior nights. His support of athletics and me was unwavering. He made athletics a priority, and there was no secret about it, as his boys could be seen on many a home football game climbing around the press box, just as athletics should be, all in and families first. My feeling that my position in athletics were in general were in jeopardy began on June 28, 2017, just over a year ago, when Tim Tehan, still the academic achievement officer for the district, sent me an email that was less than accurate or honest in its characterization of our meetings from a day earlier. There was a claim that I abruptly left the meeting and that additional items needed to be discussed, including one that was very concerning. I was asked to provide a date and a time to meet in the week ahead. I responded immediately that I would make myself available any day or time, but the meeting never happened, as this was the only face-to-face meeting that the two of us had. It seems unfathomable that not one face-to-face meeting during the entire school year. The meeting I referenced earlier was a discussion to my daughter's tuition rate. When I began discussions with Somerville, as I mentioned earlier, my daughter was in the 5th grade, and the topic of her coming to Somerville was discussed. Now she was just months away from starting high school, and I had been attempting to get an answer for nearly a year on what our tuition rate, if any, would be. Ashlyn had made the decision after countless hours of being with me at work that she too wanted to make Somerville her home. Not an easy decision for a popular, well-rounded honor student athlete to leave her friends behind in Bridgewater, but she saw what I saw, and our family was all in. When my union chose not to support me and help with my request, I knew my problems lay ahead, but I assured her and my wife that we would work them out. Ultimately, the decision was to have us pay $860 per month in tuition. On top of the $80,000 deficit in salary over my 4 years at Somerville, this was another tough pill to swallow. To add insult to injury, I was placed on a corrective action plan, dated the very same day as my initial meeting with the newly named superintendent of schools. We've been in education long enough to know that even successful people that are put on action plans are getting pushed out the door, but I continued on ensuring my family that all was going to be okay. This spring, March 6th to be exact, I knew the ship that we had built and was righted, was beginning to pick up steam, was about to sink. The personnel hiring process that was approved by this Board of Education in November of 2016 for hiring coaches was used to find the best girls soccer head coach available. It was extensive, and months went to narrowing down dozens of legitimate candidates to handle from a handful for interviews with me, then a committee made of myself, the trainer, Ms. Opalski, Jeff Vanderbeek, Matt Melisergo, and other coaches selected the best candidate, who when interviewed went to the principal, was offered the position, only to be removed from the agenda the morning of the board meeting. The response to me was that I must not have done my homework or known the candidate were the words used by the superintendent. He was correct. It wasn't homework. It was a research paper. But he was dead wrong on knowing the candidate, as Jeremy Beardsey and I have known each other for more than 30 years. I can promise you Somerville lost out on a Hall of Fame coach and Immaculata scored a winner. 3 weeks later, I was told to remove 2 current head coaches, one a State Hall of Fame coach after his first season and the other an SHS Hall of Famer after just his second season. The end was certainly near for me. In 8 days after that email, on May 4th, I was told I was not going to be offered a contract for the 2018-19 school year. A decision that has since crushed our family and taken away a high school experience from my daughter like none other. Pulling the carpet out from her after 1 year, the year she earned a spot on varsity cheer for fall and winter seasons, cheered for 2 state championship teams, was an active member of the Unified Bowling Program, Life Skills, another sectional championship team, then spent the spring as a member of the track and field team, finishing the year with close to a perfect GPA. This is not the way I wanted it to end for her. I spent a week in a daze, we did, and in denial. Then at the urging of my wife, I requested my reasons for non-renewal, for which districts have 30 days to provide. I assumed that the athletic department and its stability was a priority, so I expected the reasons in short order. Instead, on the 30th day, I received my reasons for non-renewal via certified mail and requested this hearing, which is now more than 60 days after my initial request. My reasons given for 3. 1, maintain a professional approach in personal communications and interactions. I haven't been provided anything that documents this, so it's difficult to defend and tough to quantify. 2, monitor memorandums and clearance documentation for coaches and volunteers. I can assure you that all this happens. Ensure completion of reviews of coaches. I can assure this also happens. Here is the fall of this year. This is just the fall. The first 2 years we did program reviews with each of our coaches, and now it's an extensive living document that I've been asked several times to share, and no one has taken a look at it other than it sits in a notebook on my office. Instead of a once-a-year observation like a tenured teacher, or 3 for non-tenured. Anybody that comes to any of our events or stops into the practice knows that I'm constantly observing my coaches. Anybody that's been to a game certainly knows that. Where I will end my comments tonight lies with the statement from the superintendent, the last of my reasons for non-renewal, who represents this Board of Education. We have decided to exercise our right to seek a superior candidate. I wouldn't dare not observe a coach and use that terminology. Yet the superintendent made the decision to attend 0 games at our home, yet still thought this would need to be said. I can only hope that my time at Somerville added value to our programs, and our student athletes that I worked with are better off and enjoyed their experience more than those that came before them. I can assure you the high school is like a morgue in the fall of 2014. That is not the case anymore. I'm disappointed for the student athletes and their families that deserve better than what is being given to them right now. They worked too hard to be ignored and their feelings dismissed. But I'm more disappointed for my family, who all too often I devoted my time, 60, 70 hours per week, all documented, to my job more than to them. They deserve better. And my parents shouldn't have to open their local newspaper and see a story like that one printed last month. After a year in which 3 head coaches that I hired earned Courier News All Area Coach of the Year honors, 4 NJSA sectional titles, 1 group title, is one that we should be celebrating as the richest in history, and of the school landed in the ShopRite top 10 for the first time in its history. Is anybody perfect? I suspect not. I've made decisions along the way, as have everyone I've worked with. The decision not to offer a contract to me was, in my opinion, strictly a personal one. I want to thank you for listening, and I thank those that came tonight to listen and to support. Somerville is an amazing place because of the kids and the families, and I hope that continues even in the face of disappointing decisions that have made for the athletic department over the last few months.
Have questions?
Mr. Olson asked the board if anybody here would like to make any type of motion at this point.
Okay, any motion? Anyone wish to make a motion?
Make a motion of what?
Question is, this is now the board's opportunity to ask questions, and I don't see any questions, and the question posed by the board president was, does anybody on the Board of Education want to make a motion to reappoint Mr. Franny for the next school year? Am I correct?
Yes.
Okay. Does anybody on the board want to make a motion at this point in time? Okay. So that concludes our Donaldson hearing, and we will now move on to the next item
I
of
do have a
business.
question. So now, nobody's
So-
making a motion, so there's no chance he gets his job back.
That's correct. If nobody makes a motion, then his non-renewal stands. Back to you.
Report of board
You guys
items,
stay.
report of board items, finance committee. Mr. Quintello?
Back to the dark ages.
It is recommended that items 1 through 5 be moved upon the recommendation of the superintendent of schools. Board secretary's financial reports, acceptance of monthly reports, payroll, bills list, and bills list.
Was that moved?
I think we need a motion in a second.
Okay. We need a motion to...
Second.
Second? Discussion, comment? Roll call, please.
Mr. Cornell.
Yes.
Mrs. Matthews.
Yes.
Mr. Jess.
Yes.
Mr. Prudente.
Yes.
Mr. Puntillo.
Yes.
Mrs. Schweitzer.
Yes.
Mrs. Van Horn.
Yes.
Mr. Sergio.
Yes.
Mrs. Olson.
Yes.
Certification of major account status pursuant to NJAC 6A:23A-16.10C for the Somerville Board of Education certifies that as of May 31st, 2018, after review of the board secretary's and treasurer's monthly financial reports, and upon consultation with the appropriate officials to the best of its knowledge, no major account or fund has been overexpended in violation of NJAC 6A:23A-16.10C4, and that sufficient funds are available to meet the district's financial obligations for the remainder of the fiscal year. Major accounts are current expense and capital projects and debt service.
We have...
Did I miss 5?
Yes.
Okay. I make a motion to approve the bills list, number 5 on the agenda.
Okay, there's a motion.
I actually said it.
Second.
I didn't move it.
There was a second down here.
It was Candace.
Candace? Discussion? Questions? Roll call, please.
Mr. Cornell. Mrs. Matthews.
Yes.
Mr. Jess.
Yes.
Mr. Prudente.
Yes.
Mr. Puntillo.
Yes.
Mrs. Schweitzer.
Yes.
Mrs. Van Horn.
Yes.
Mr. Sergio.
Yes.
Mrs. Olson.
Yes.
Mrs. Fabrizi.
Yes.
The certification still stands, correct? Buildings and grounds, Mr. Cornell?
Yes, tonight I'll make the announcement that we're going to start the new turf field, putting a new top on it. It'll be starting this Thursday. So we're going to have to make some changes on the field. They won't be able to utilize the field for probably about 3 maybe a month. So we got to take the top off. We got to check everything underneath, make sure it's okay, and put the new top down. We made some changes to the new one. We're putting our names in the end zone, which we didn't have on the original one. We're upgrading to a much better type of top. It'll last much longer than the one we had originally. And it's going to also affect the teams, because all teams will be able to play. We've made the big field wider for lacrosse and soccer, so that you have more distance on each of the edges. As far as we could go, we go any further, we'll be running on the track. And we are also doing a lot of upgrading in the facility. If you go up the field now, you notice we cut the hedges down. We're going to do the hedges ourselves from now on, because we want to keep that looking well. If we're going to have nice fields, we want to make sure that we keep the facilities nice. If you look around, and this year I commented to the maintenance force and the custodians that this year is the best I've ever seen that field in the last 10 years, as far as no papers, no garbage around. Everybody's picking up, which is a credit to the students as well as the people that are there, the players that play there too, that pick everything up now. That's great. So we have a real nice Class A facilities, and everybody is going to have a great time this year. The new turf is much better for the kids. They came up in a new method, the way they put it together and everything, so you don't hang your feet up in there, so you won't trip or get any ankle injuries. This is all the latest stuff that's out. Also we are also doing the tops of the schools. We're doing the roofs on all 3 schools this year, which are in Clerk. So if you ride by and see all this material in front of Vanderveer School, it's for the roofs on the Vanderveer School. We're doing the high school, Vanderveer, and the middle school. They're our big summer projects, as well as getting everything ready for the fall, for the sporting events. That's it.
Thank you. Athletics and student activities, Mr. DeVille.
Yes, Madam President, anything wants to report on sports camps, fall sports camps are underway?
Good. Curriculum Committee, this is Van Horn.
Okay, there are 2 attachments. The 6/12 meeting was actually reported at their last board meeting, but it does include the curriculum for We're Not Buying It. And the meeting of July 10th has the middle school grade 5 science scope and sequence, which we're going to vote on tonight. And I'm going to read that as a reading right now. For the approval of the scope, sequence, and curriculum units of studies for middle school grade 5 science units 1 through 4.
Okay, and that motion is resolved that the Board of Education approve the attached scope, sequence, and curriculum units and studies.
Move.
The motion?
Move.
Second.
Discussion. Roll call, please.
Mr. Cornell.
Yes.
Mrs. Matthews.
Yes.
Mr. Jess.
Yes.
Mr. Prudente.
Yes.
Mr. Puntillo.
Yes.
Mrs. Schweitzer.
Yes.
Mrs. Van Horn.
Yes.
Mr. Sergio.
Yes.
Mrs. Olson.
Yes. Policy Committee, Mr. Prudente.
Yes, first reading is out. The Board of Education approved the following policies, regulations for first reading. P3542.2, school meal program arrears. P4111, recruitment, selection, and hiring. P4112, recruitment, selection, and hiring. P5131.1, harassment, intimidation, and bullying.
So moved. Second.
Discussion, questions? Roll call, please.
Mr. Cornell.
Yes.
Mrs. Matthews.
Yes.
Mr. Jess.
Yes.
Mr. Prudente.
Yes.
Mr. Puntillo.
Yes.
Mrs. Schweitzer.
Yes.
Mrs. Van Horn.
Yes.
Mr. Sergio.
Yes.
Mrs. Olson.
Yes.
Mrs. Fabrizi.
Yes.
Technology, Mr. Cornell.
Yes, the board has a record of a copy of the report from Melissa McAfee, your director. I just want to mention a few things that I noticed is recycling. They came down with a big truck and we're recycling a lot of the old products that we have. And I noticed that we got a big shipment of new computers coming in, so all the computers will be probably the ones that are going to be handed out. And I know they're upgrading all the software because they've been working down in the basement down and doing all that. And we also have we're installing all new, we're taking out the old boards that we had, the white boards now, we're going to a different technology, and that we're starting to put some of those into play too. I'm trying to look down if there's anything else it's going to be a rough summer because they got a lot of things to do by the time everybody gets back. All the teachers' computers come in, we go through, we update all the software and replace anything that's broken on, and they get new ones, and students, we do the same things with the student ones. So all that's being done now, and that will be done before school starts. That's it.
Thank you. Borough Council Liaison, Mr. Trujillo.
Yes, meeting was held last Monday, and the only thing I have to report is Tuesday, August 7th, is our National Night Out, and they will have a dunk tank, so the council is asking for any volunteers who would be interested to please contact Kathy Gert at the rec department.
If you need to volunteer.
Not yet.
Somerset County Ed Services
There's no
Commission, Mr.
report.
Pinzon. Somerset County Association of School Boards, there have been no meetings recently. Ad hoc Security Committee, Mr. Prudenti.
No report.
Ad hoc Negotiations Committee, Mr. Pinzon.
As Mr. Frayne said earlier, we did have a meeting last week, and I think we're waiting to schedule a fact-finding meeting.
Personnel, Dr. Keehan.
Resolved that the Board of Education approve and/or accept the superintendent of schools' recommendations as follows. Appointments and salaries are contingent upon verified documentation. Number 1, to approve the appointment of all Vanderveer staff members to the position of detention monitor on an as-needed basis. Number 2, to approve the appointment of all Vanderveer staff members to the position of AM and PM school monitor also on an as-needed basis. Number 3, to approve the listed individuals to the position of grade level team leaders at Vanderveer School for 1819. Number 4, to approve the appointment of Patricia Helwig to the position of chorus director at Vanderveer School. Number 5, to approve the appointment of Christine Wojewoda to the position of band director at Vanderveer School. Number 6, to approve the appointment of Johan Derflinger to the position of art club advisor. Number 7, to approve the appointment of Tristan Miller to the position of robotics advisor at Vanderveer. Number 8, to approve the appointment of the listed individuals to the position of cafeteria playground aide at Vanderveer. Number 9, to approve the appointment of the listed individuals to the position of head cafeteria playground aide at Vanderveer. Number 10, to approve the listed individuals to serve on the middle school, Somerville Middle School safety team for the 18-19 school year. Number 11, to accept the retirement resignation of Jocelyn Eckert in the position of teacher of English or Language Arts at the middle school. Number 12, to approve the appointment of Jessica McLaughlin to the position of teacher of preschool for the 2018-19 school year. Number 13, to approve the appointment of Caitlin Colhap to the lead replacement position of teacher of grade 4 at Vanderveer School for the 18-19 school year. Number 14, to approve the appointment of Mary Carmen Tapia to the position of teacher of kindergarten for the 18-19 school year. Number 15, to approve the appointment of Michael Anderson to the position of teacher of social studies for Somerville Middle School for the 18-19 school year. Number 16, to approve the appointment of Samantha Ackerman to the position of teacher of first grade for Vanderveer for the 18-19 school year. Number 17, to approve the appointment of Dante Ciani to the position of teacher of English at Somerville Middle School for 18-19 school year. Number 18, to approve the appointment of Samantha Bana to the position of teacher of English at Somerville Middle School for the 18-19 school year. Number 19, to approve the appointment of Michelle Lynette to the position of teacher of 5th grade at Vanderveer for the 18-19 school year. Number 20, to approve the appointment of Nicole Anderson to the position of teacher of preschool ABA at Vanderveer for the 18-19 school year. Number 21, to approve the appointment of Andrea Vega Valverde to a Rutgers University student to complete her occupational therapy assistant placement at Vanderveer School, and she'll be supervised by Patricia Clark. Number 22, to approve the appointment of Elaine Cochran to the position of part-time AM instructional assistant at Vanderveer. Number 23, to approve the appointment of Juliana Ferreira to the position of part-time instructional assistant at Somerville Middle School. Number 24, to approve the appointment of Juliana Shortino to the position of part-time instructional assistant at Somerville Middle School. Number 25, to approve the appointment of Angela DiPetta to the lead replacement position of teacher of grade 1 at Vanderveer School. Number 26, to approve the appointment of Heather Schulman to the position of teacher of STEM at Vanderveer Elementary School. Number 27, to approve the appointment of Dr. Claudine O'Brien to the position of school psychologist at Vanderveer Elementary School. Number 28, to approve the appointment of Christina Brophy to the position of teacher of preschool at Vanderveer. Number 29, to approve the attached revised Title I literacy coach job description. Number 30, to approve the grant-funded preschool master teacher position at Vanderveer School. Number 31, to approve the attached master teacher job description. Number 32, to approve the appointment of Elaine Ramos, a teacher at Somerville Middle School, to complete her practicum internship for counseling with Mary Honrad. Number 33, to approve the appointment of the listed individuals for summer curriculum writing. Number 34, to approve the appointment of the listed Fairleigh Dickinson University students to complete their student teaching placement at Vanderveer School. Number 35, to approve the appointment of Gary Mullinson, to the position of volunteer at Somerville Middle School. Number 36, to approve the appointment of the listed staff members to the position of morning and afternoon outside monitors at Somerville Middle School. Number 37, to approve the appointment of Uma Mahava-Rao to the newly created pre-fit speech therapist position at Vanderveer School. Number 38, to approve the appointment of Dorothy Garfey to the position of part-time instructional assistant at Vanderveer School. Number 39, to approve the appointment of Charlene Takvik to the position of audio-visual coordinator at Vanderveer School. Number 40, to approve the appointment of Charlene Takvik to the position of yearbook advisor at Vanderveer School. And number 41, to approve the appointment of the listed staff members to serve on the Vanderveer PS2 skip team.
Motion.
Second?
Discussion, questions? Roll call, please.
Mr. Cornell.
Yes.
Mrs. Matthews.
No on 14 and no on 20, yes on the rest.
Mr. Jess.
Yes.
Mr. Prudente.
Yes.
Mr. Puntillo.
Yes.
Mrs. Schweitzer.
Yes.
Mrs. Van Horn.
Yes.
Mr. Sergio.
Yes.
Mrs. Olson.
Yes.
For 9 through 12 and district-wide, resolved that the Board of Education approve and/or accept the superintendent of schools' recommendations as follows. Appointments and salaries contingent upon verified documentation. Number 42, to accept the resignation of Victoria Glanville from the position of teacher of science at Somerville High School. Number 43, to accept the resignation of Eileen Black from the position of head girls coach, soccer coach at Somerville High School. Number 44, to approve an unpaid leave of absence in accordance with the New Jersey Family Leave Act for Rebecca Bell, effective September 4th through November 23rd. Number 45, to approve an unpaid child care leave of absence in accordance with the New Jersey Family Leave Act for Andrea Wong, and that will actually be effective September 17th, not the 4th, and that will go through December 7th. Number 46, to approve an unpaid child care leave of absence in accordance with the New Jersey Family Leave Act for Sharon Gornick, and that will be from September 4th through November 23rd. Number 47, to approve the newly created position of teacher of computer science at Somerville High School. Number 48, to approve the transfer of Trista Miller from the position of teacher of coding at Vanderveer School to the position of teacher of computer science at Somerville High School. Number 49, to approve the transfer of Jennifer DePace from the position of supervisor of curriculum to the position of supervisor of guidance and special services at Somerville High School. Number 50, to approve the appointment of Judith Levine to the position of teacher of science for biology at Somerville High School. Number 51, to approve the appointment of Anne-Marie de Regadas to the leave replacement position of teacher of English at Somerville High School, and that will be from September 1st to November 21st. Number 52, to approve the appointment of Audriana Formanowski to the newly created position of 2/5 speech therapist at Somerville High School. Number 53, to approve the listed individuals for their work assisting the band camp for the months of August at Somerville High School. Number 54, to approve the appointment of Christopher Navolo to the position of head boys basketball coach at Somerville High School. Number 55, to approve the appointment of the listed individuals to create the newcomer welcome kit Title-Free Immigrant for the 18-18 school year. Number 56, to approve the appointment of Elizabeth Ramirez to the position of volunteer coordinator for the mentoring program at Somerville High School. Number 57, to approve the enclosed employment contract for Brian P. Boyce, Business Administrator, Board Secretary. Number 58, to approve the appointment of Alexander Bartfield to the position of Curriculum Supervisor district-wide. Number 59, to approve the listed individuals to the position of volunteer at Somerville High School. Number 60, to approve the appointment of the listed staff members to the position of the Green Dot Club co-advisor. Number 61, to rescind the appointment of Victoria Glanville from the position of co-advisor for the Interact Club. 62, to approve the appointment of Kelly Rockwell to the position of Interact Club advisor at Somerville High School. 63, to approve the appointment of Timothy Davis to the position of athletic director for Somerville Schools. And this will be effective July 25th, and that will actually be to June 30th, 2019, not 18. Number 64, to approve the appointment of Jordy Mayer to the position of head girls soccer coach at Somerville High School for the 18 fall season. 65, to approve the appointment of Eileen Black to the position of volunteer coach for girls soccer at Somerville High School. Number 66, to approve a paid medical leave of absence for Anna Zambrano, Secretary of Special Services, effective September 13th through October 11th. Number 67, to approve the appointment of Tisby Hershey Cohen to the newly created position of 1/5 occupational therapist for Somerville Public Schools. Number 68, to approve the appointment of Lisa Davies to the position of teacher of biology at Somerville High School. Number 69, to accept the resignation of Jeffrey Vanderbeek from the position of head coach for football. Number 70, to approve the appointment of Dallas Whitaker to the position of head coach for football at Somerville High School. Number 71, to approve the appointment of Jeffrey Vanderbeek to the position of volunteer assistant football coach. Number 72, to approve the appointment of Jeffrey Vanderbeek to the position of volunteer mentor for coaches and student athletes. Number 73, to approve the appointment of Carissa Estrella to the leave replacement position of teacher of social studies at Somerville High School.
Motion.
Second.
Discussion, questions, roll call please.
Mr. Cornell.
Wait a minute, let me get my notes here. There we go. I don't remember the numbers. No on 54. And 64, I'm kind of hung up, but I'm going to go along with Jeff because I think the girls need the coach now. So I'm a little confused on that one because the name that I saw the other day wasn't the same one's on here, but it's okay. So I'll just put forward the
The name was changed,
no, yes on the
so
rest.
Hold on.
Ken, just speak up some, please.
they can't hear. They can't hear.
I'm saying no on 54 and yes on all the other ones.
Mrs. Matthews.
No on 54, no on 65, and abstain on 70. Yes to the rest.
Okay. Mr. Jess.
I am abstaining on 43, 64, and 65 because I have a daughter who plays in the soccer program, and I am abstaining on 54.
So abstaining on 43, 64, 65, and 54.
Correct, and yes on everything else.
Okay. Mr. Prudente.
No on 54, no on 65. Yes to everything.
Mr. Pontillo.
Yes.
Mrs. Schweitzer.
Yes.
Mrs. Van Horn.
No on 54, yes on everything else.
Mr. Sergio.
On 64, I agree with Kenny Cornell. The girls do need a soccer coach, and they need one now, so I'm going to vote yes on that. Yes on everything else.
So it's yes on everything, right? Okay. Mrs. Olson.
Yes.
Mrs. Fabrizi.
No on 54, yes to everything else.
Okay. So, Linda, the motion carries except for number 54.
All right. At this time, the floor is open for public comment on whatever topic you'd like to speak on.
Jessica Sarna, 2 Fleetwood Drive. I'm one of the captains of Somerville High School girls soccer team. I am standing here again, as I did 4 months ago, when I respectfully asked the board to please treat the search of a head coach for the girls soccer program with the same respect, integrity, and vigor it would for any other sport in Somerville's athletic program. To say I'm disappointed with the process of our coach's hiring is an understatement. Though I'm happy to have Jordy as our new coach and am so excited for the season, I am thankful to have this debacle behind us. I want you to know how this was handled, and it was not okay. First, let me tell you a little about our varsity soccer team. We are so much more than just soccer players. We are strong, confident leaders who not only stand out on the soccer field, but in our school community. We are peer leaders, National Honor Society members, multi-sport student athletes, student council members and officers, Key Club members, peer mentors, and the list can go on forever. We value integrity, hard work, and commitment, and that is the backbone of what our soccer program is built on. But the process of hiring our coach has been far from it. Coach Guidonius resigned in November, and here we are on July 23rd, hiring our coach 22 days before our preseason starts. The amount of politics, parent involvement, and disregard for the hiring committee is ridiculous. I can't even tell you the amount of stress and anxiety this situation has caused our team over the past few months. We put our faith in this board and truly believed you would do the right thing. We want to thank Coach Black, who has been an example for what our adult leaders should be. She is dedicated to our whole team, not just a few individuals. She cares about this program so much and has worked so hard with us this summer to try and keep us focused on what is important, and we are so lucky to have her. We want you to know that regardless of the way the hiring of our new coach was handled, we are committed to this team, and we will play our hearts out for each other this season. We take the phrase, all in for the Ville to heart. Look at all of us here tonight. We came straight from captain's practice and even switched the time so we can come here and speak to you. This shows our dedication and love for the sport and each other. We want the best for us this season on and off the field, and I hope you do too. Thank you for your time.
Anyone else?
I just have a question. I'm not sure if we're allowed to ask questions, but you did mention that.
I need your name and your address.
Oh, my name is Emily Millar. I was the captain 2 years ago. Sorry, I don't mean to get emotional. You did mention that there was a name on there that you didn't recognize because there was a name previous. Now,
If I may, I do apologize.
Yeah.
I just need your name and address for the...
Okay. My name is Emily Millar. I live at 508 Clinton Street, Shannock Station. So you did mention that you didn't realize that there was a new name brought onto the sheet, which didn't sound great. And I'm just curious why a few of you said that you need to hire now, because I understand that there is preseason coming up, but there is a coach whose name was on that who would do the most amazing job with these girls, and I'm just getting emotional because I feel extremely passionate about that, and I want to know why he couldn't step in right now, because I know he's ready to do so. I don't want to be inappropriate, so if you're allowed to answer that, great, because I know a lot of us are curious about that.
I would think it would be appropriate to share what the hiring process is, because the girls seem to be under the notion that we sit and interview the candidates.
We don't have.
No.
Yeah, I think you should.
The regular process.
I gotta hear this. Sorry.
What are you, oh, okay.
So I can hear it.
Oh, okay. All right, there is a procedure established, which has the candidates being interviewed, going through an initial interview. The people who are being considered as actual potential hires then are interviewed by another committee, and then a recommendation is made through that committee and ultimately winds up with the superintendent who approves it for the agenda.
Okay, so he was approved, but then his name was taken off. That's why I'm confused.
So are you saying he was interviewed by a committee? Are we talking about Graham Jones?
Yes.
There's no committee.
We really shouldn't discuss personnel in a public arena. So
I thought that's why we were here. Isn't that why we're all here?
let me rephrase. The board is not allowed to discuss personnel in a public arena. The public certainly can welcome and make whatever comments they'd like, but the board is constrained by law. We are not allowed to discuss personnel matters in public, especially individuals. So again, you're free to make your comments, and that's appropriate.
So the question about whether he was interviewed by a committee is inappropriate, is that correct?
The board should be careful about what they say. So, I mean, Dr. Teehan, it's the law.
What I would expect from the attorney.
I'm telling you what the law is. It's up to Dr. Teehan. If Dr. Teehan wants to discuss process is defined.
This pertains to the process.
And that would be up to Dr. Teehan.
Superintendent, I'd like to know if the superintendent interviewed him?
No, and the process does not involve, I can't talk about the person, the different individuals.
Right.
But the process goes through, as Linda Olson said, it starts with a committee and works its way up from there. Depending on the position, the committees vary. So if it was a teaching position, it goes through what's called a personnel committee, which is made up of a group of staff members who volunteer to do that. And then it goes to a second level, and then goes to a third level, which would be me, and then it goes to the fourth level of the board. When it's a coaching position, it's a smaller process. It's actually 3 steps instead of 4.
So it just goes back to my question, can he not be, like he was taken off the agenda today?
And anywhere along the process, somebody can be removed for any reason.
Okay.
Okay. Kylie Sullivan, 42 Cascades Terrace.
Can I have a timeout?
Sure.
Let's change
Make sure you get
Kylie Sullivan, 42 Cascades Terrace. I'm going to be a senior this fall at Somerville High School, and I play on the soccer team. I'm a captain for the team, and I'm also a cheerleader. I played soccer since kindergarten, and I've loved the game ever since. While I'm happy that the person who's in charge has finally selected a coach, I'm also dismayed and disheartened at the process and how all this came about. There's a lot of dissing that has gone on during this long, tedious, drawn-out process at picking this final and hopefully last coach. Parents and administrators are equally at fault here in this fiasco. There have been unhappy parents and wishy-washy administrators who can't seem to uphold an agreement or make up their mind. We look up to you as our role models, and quite frankly, when we see this uncertainty and indecisiveness, it scares us. I've heard parents mocking, character bashing, and even outright lying about any of the last coaches, and not a lot of it was true according to me. While there are no perfect coaches, there are equally no perfect parents. I like to say to those parents who cannot seem to let their kids live with what is given to them, are you always going to be there for them? Will you take their tests for them, go to their jobs for them, attend college for them, and most importantly, kick a soccer ball for them? The obvious answer is no, but I thought we all knew that. The people in charge, board members, and administrators, we would like to see you be more firm with the parents. Be honest in your decisions and don't be influenced by hearsay or gossip. Is it always an easy job to select a coach for sports programs? Another obvious answer is no. All we in the soccer team are asking for is transparency, honesty, and fairness. While I think Graham Jones would have been a perfect fit for the coach, unfortunately, I believe this position was denied to him due to a character assassination. This board needs to move on. I have not seen this type of discriminating behavior occur with any of the boys' programs. The bullying that has occurred by some parents and the wish to have the coach that is best for their child and not for the team has been disheartening to say the least, especially from a player who takes the sport seriously and is looking to play at the next level. In closing, I truly hope this issue is done and the girls' soccer team can finally move forward onto a successful, positive winning year and leave the negative memories behind. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your comment, and you also.
Sarah Merchant, 131 Outer Road, Shannon Station. Like I said, my name is Sarah Merchant, and I'm a recent graduate of the class of 2018 and a former captain of the Yale girls soccer team. I'm here today for multiple reasons. First and foremost, to support my fellow teammates and friends. And second, to express my disappointment in the Board of Education for not supporting and having faith in our team, program, and Graham Jones. I'm not going to dwell on the fact that Graham's position as coach was wrongfully removed because, as Kylie said, of a character assassination. But I would like to speak on behalf of his character because I know that he deserves at least that. I've known Graham Jones for over 10 years, and I'm confident in saying that he has shaped me into the woman I am today. He has taught me leadership, self-confidence, trust. Emily, what did you do to me? And perseverance, and I'm truly saddened that he will not have positively impact the lives of future girls soccer players. Graham Jones, like these girls sitting right here, they're older than me. He shaped them into the people they are, and I have followed them as role models, and I have followed him as role models. But despite the obstacles that have come our way, we are a family, and I know that sticking by one another's side is not something that will change for these girls. However, I think that we have fought long and hard enough both on the field and unfortunately off the field in this room. And I believe that from now on, my friends and past teammates deserve to not only have to worry about playing the sport we all love and not worry about the politics that has sadly encompassed these last few months. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Mr. Kenny first, I saw him first.
My name is Dave Kinney. I was born and raised in Somerville. I was a teacher coach at Somerville High School for 39 years. I've seen a lot of things go down. I've worked under every single athletic director since Sam Yon. And some of you may not know that name, but he's been around a long time. Probably 7 or 8 guys ago. I think Mr. Franey was an excellent candidate. I'm sorry to see him go. But mainly what I want to say, and I didn't plan on speaking, but coming in tonight, I didn't hear his speech because I had my back to the door. Now, can't we provide a better place to have a meeting? I see lots of dedicated former athletes, participants in all of the programs at Somerville. How can you expect them to continue to support you and the system by treating them like illegals? To give them a better place.
Hi, Bill Oppenhauer, 15 East Brown Street, Somerville, New Jersey. First off, ladies, I want to thank you, Mr. Kinney, thank you for your comments. Ladies, you did a great job representing your team and your team and your high school. My comment is specific to Mr. Cornell and a comment he made with regards to the athletic turf change. First off, I appreciate the board looking forward and planning for this change and setting aside money on an annual basis so that we can make sure the facilities are top-notch, and that's a great thing that you're doing. That being said, I'm concerned about the comment that you said that, about a month from now, based off of what I just looked at in JSAA website, football opening season's first practice is August 8th, and the balance of the fall programs are August 13th. I know the girls' soccer program starts August 15th, and I would
still have 2 other fields.
Yeah, but you have, how many teams do you have on those 2 other fields? So, I mean, all I'm saying is I would anticipate that from a contractual perspective, this would have been contracted such that you would have been prepared for the first day of the season, and if you weren't, there were liquidated damages in that contract associated with any penalty thereafter of the date that you guys started the fall seasons.
They will definitely be done by, I think it's, what is it, August 25th?
August 24th.
24th.
Yeah, so that's 9 days late. I can look at the schedule right now as to how many dates that these girls are supposed to practice on Turf 1 between August 15th and August 24th. I know there's at least one. So all I'm saying is with regards to this, I hopefully you'll look at, I guess we'll be busing to White Oak Park or something, or they'll be on the grass over at Vanderveer. Because this is, you are using all 3 fields. I know you have 3, I appreciate that, but you're using all 3. So if anything you could do to entice the company to finish prior to the 24th, we would appreciate that.
We will be pushing, and believe I'll be up there every day.
There should be liquidated damages in the contract that agree to approach that.
Thank you. Yes.
Hi, my name is Mark Lauber. I live at 201 Mountain View Terrace in the Shannock Station. Next year I will have 2 students at Somerville High School. I currently have 1 who's going to be a senior next year. I also own the Branchburg Sports Complex, and I employ Graham Jones as one of my sports managers and head soccer coach. He also is the trainer and head coach for my twin girls U11 travel soccer team. Although I don't have a player or skin in the game when it comes to the high school varsity girls soccer team, I do have a tremendous concern about as these ladies so eloquently described, as a character association of one of my employees. It's a travesty. And what's worse is that you all listened to the person who came and created these rumors. It's horrible. I can't even believe that it's gone down like this. I have to speak up because Graham isn't here. I have to speak for his reputation, which these ladies have said it so much better than I hope I don't cry. So much better than I ever could. His reputation has apparently been tarnished and inaccurately portrayed to the board members by a few parents who have special interest in having their daughters get, let's face it, get more playing time. It's ridiculous. They have put their own personal agenda ahead of the team, as you've already heard. I'm sure you're aware, there was no, well, I wasn't aware until we just heard tonight that there was this level of interviews. None of that happened. He was interviewed by Principal Foley. Principal Foley offered him the job last Wednesday. He accepted on Thursday. On Friday, I believe the board was informed that he was going to be the nominee for this position. Weekend was quiet. Yesterday I was at football practice where my son plays, and I got a call from Graham, who was extremely upset because Principal Foley called him and said his name was taken off of the agenda because he couldn't get board approval. Do you think that's due process? He wasn't even given an explanation. Like, board won't approve you. Okay, interesting. Graham also turned down a position in Hunterdon when he was offered the position at Somerville. When he went back yesterday afternoon to get the job, it had already been filled. So he's lost the opportunity here for him and his family. He's lost the opportunity now in Hunterdon. Nice. Apparently, there was particularly one parent, who will remain unnamed, who was somehow got to board members, and you all decided before even giving him a second interview, or God forbid a third interview, or talking to some of the girls that he's coached for so many years, or parents that know him very well, it was I don't know who made the final decision. Just yank his name off. Mr. Cornell said he didn't even know his name was taken off the agenda. Is that right? Is that right?
I found out today when we got the agenda.
So how can you vote tonight? How can you make a vote on this, removing this guy tonight? I don't understand it. They've attacked his reputation without meeting or speaking to him in person. It's absolutely terrible. I got to skip over this stuff because I got 3 minutes, I guess. I thought I was going to have a chance to talk before you made all your approvals. Apparently not. Okay? I don't know if it can be reversed or you can reconsider. But I strongly urge you to reconsider, Graham, and make a decision based on his accomplishments and his credentials and what he can do for this team. By the way, I know Jordy, who you now have approved. Jordy's a great coach. He works at DTS. He'll make a good coach. And if that's what winds up being, I will support you girls and you'll have a great season. But the process that this board went through to reject Graham Jones is horrible and should never happen to any individual. I'm embarrassed for my son to be going to Somerville High School, to be honest with you.
Twice. 2 times. It's not the first part he's done. Twice.
I'm sorry?
2 times.
The second coach they turned down.
Second one.
You mean Jeremy?
Yeah.
Another Hall of Fame coach, Jeremy Beardsley. How do you turn him down? I don't understand it. Probably because a parent got to the board and they didn't probably give him a second interview either. Okay? So I would suggest that, I don't know how your procedures work, but what you've been doing hasn't working too good. So I would suggest that maybe you reconsider. Maybe all the board members meet, go through a second interview or a third interview with him, find out more about him. I think the best, you ladies, I didn't even know you guys were coming tonight, but you were so eloquent in the way you talked about Graham and the influence he's had. He's one of the best coaches in Central Jersey.
I'm going to have to generally do a 3-minute limit, and you have exceeded.
What do I have, number 2?
No.
Okay, I'm done.
Thank you. And is there anyone else?
Yeah. Go ahead. Please, sir, no problem.
I'm Lennis Carlson. I'm at 41 Vanderveer Avenue, Somerville, New Jersey. And what I want to tell everyone in this room is, this board only cares about the people who are going to vote for them. Remember this when it comes time to vote. Remember what they voted for. Remember what they didn't vote for. Remember what voices they heard and what voices they didn't hear. This party we're having here is the second time, and I'm over it. Why am I over it? Because I only have a daughter who's leaving in 1 year, and I just want the best for this community, the best for this town. And it is an embarrassment that we let go a state-ranked coach, that we let go Graham. It's an embarrassment. Some people have agendas in this. Clearly have agendas in this board. And you know what? Some of the positions that we're talking about here are appointed positions. Remember the board who's going to make the appointments for the next party that we're going to have here. You get the right board members, you get the right people in the right job with the right skill sets, and we can not continue to have these meetings where we have the entire town in an uproar. But those of you who live in Branchburg, remember this. Influence your friends in Somerville, because they will be the ones who can go to the ballot and vote, and we can start over. Thank you.
But you're going to be the last one.
Hey, it's okay. My voice wasn't heard when I went to go appoint coaches or Mr. Franny, so it doesn't matter now, so I don't care.
No, it does matter.
Go ahead.
It does matter.
Shame on you.
This meeting will come to order now.
Okay.
All right?
Well, not a good one.
You have the floor.
I secede my minutes to Andrew.
We don't do that. That's not the way the process works.
What? Yeah, what's the process?
So it's your opportunity to speak. It's now up to the board president to determine who the next speaker is going to be. That's the process. We don't see time.
We are allowed to secede.
No, we do not.
Robert's rules. Robert's rules.
Not permitted unless the board president allows for it.
Ms. Lane, go ahead.
We haven't done that, but you will not be able to speak later. We do understand that.
That's fine.
All right, 3 minutes.
3 minutes, right? That's what she said. All right, 3. Yeah.
26.
So it's set, 3. Andrew Diodato, 56 Gas Boulevard, Branchburg, New Jersey, 08876. As most of the kids in this room, I'm an athlete, I'm a student at Somerville. I think that sports have a very important, not the right word, a way of teaching you important lessons, some that you guys may deem important later in life. I'm going to go through a couple of those. I'll keep it under 3 minutes, don't worry. So first, the unified bowling team. Right? That was implemented by Mr. Franny. That's the first of the kind at Somerville High School. It's very important. Even though you guys haven't been there, the faces on the life skills kids' face when they get a strike, when they got their varsity letter, when they were part of a team that was bigger than themselves, something you guys haven't witnessed, something you guys won't witness until you come and show your faces at a bowling match, or any match, any game, anything that supports the students instead of just hiding in this little back room. The football, the girls basketball team, the baseball team, they learned that hard work pays off. They're state champions this year. The girls soccer team learned that not only may the odds be stacked against you, but the people who are supposed to make decisions for you may not listen to your voices. And they learned that no matter how many times you get knocked down, you have to get back up one more time after that. And if you don't, then there's no point. In the past 2 years, the boys soccer team
has been snubbed of a county final appearance based on one person's decision. It was the wrong decision. They had no bias on it, and it was the wrong decision. Kind of like what's going on tonight. We're athletes at Somerville. We're also students. We're young men and women who walk these halls and who have become proud to represent Somerville based on the strengths of our athletic teams, all of which we have worked for and are deserving of. Guided by amazing teachers, still working without contracts because the board will not work with them. Outstanding coaches, impressive athletic trainers, and a superior athletic director than any you could possibly find. And today, I think that us students, especially the girls' soccer team, have learned that while it may be our lives, our careers, our passions, our say and our vote means nothing, especially to you people, to those who are above us, purely because you're above us and think that you have all the information when you really don't. The decision to not even vote shows that not everything is fair, because at the end of the day, us athletes are wearing the Somerville logo and playing for the school and community. You are not. Your days are long gone. I want to thank you. I want to thank the board for teaching us this tough lesson at such a young age. It's really not fair that we have to learn it now, but I mean, I guess better now than later. It's a hard lesson to learn at this age. I want to publicly thank, mostly in front of you guys, Mr. Franey for everything that he's done for the community, all the great lessons he has taught us, how he has changed the community, the school, and us athletes for the better. He has set us up and greatly helped us in all our future endeavors. We would not be where we are today without the dedication and commitment he has for us. He will be missed. And as far as I'm concerned, you guys are worthless.
So ends public comment. Resolved that the Board of Education needs to recess into executive session to discuss a confirmed HIV case and matters falling within the attorney-client privilege. The minutes of the executive session, to the extent permitted by law, will be made available to the public once the issues are resolved, subject to confidentiality requirements.
Linda, before you do that, I'd like to make an amendment here. I'm withdrawing. I want to make a motion that we withdraw the name that we put in now and sit down and review this, because I was confused when it came and now I'm more confused. And like these people said out there, these are the people who put me in office. But you don't have to vote for me this year. My 40th year, I'm off. They finally give me the diploma this year. But I'm going to make a motion that I think we should review this. I only voted in favor of it because I felt I didn't want to, so you have no coach at all.
So just so we're clear on what the motion is.
The motion is that we...
Are you asking for a motion for reconsideration?
Yes.
Let's point to the particular item so we all know what we're referring to. I just want to make sure we're all talking about the right thing. So you're making...
I want to rescind.
So you want a...
Please stop talking.
You voted in the affirmative, Mr. Cornell?
I voted in favor.
Okay. And so you want to make a motion to rescind item number 64?
Yes.
He's been already appointed. You could not do that without Dr. Tehan's recommendation. Well, that's a personnel issue. I thought you were making a motion for reconsideration, which is a different, a no vote essentially, which you could do if you wanted to. But you couldn't make a motion to terminate now. Because the rescinding essentially is terminating.
Okay, then I will do it this way. I'll ask
for a motion for reconsideration. Okay, go ahead.
I'll ask Dr. Tehan if he'll allow me to make a motion. If he says no, then you're right. I can't make the motion. Is that correct?
You can't make a motion to rescind an appointment without Dr. Tehan's recommendation.
Okay, right.
He just said yes. Make the motion. You said you can make the motion. It needs a second. So this is a motion, just so we're clear now, this is a motion to rescind appointment number 64 on the agenda. It requires 6 affirmative votes. It was seconded?
I'll second, because I voted too, so the girls can have a coach. It's been too long for them, and they need it.
We have a second.
So let's see the outcome. Now it's time for discussion on the motion. So we have a motion, a second,
Who was the
discussion.
second?
I did.
John was the second?
I voted because they needed a coach.
Derek did too.
Okay, so
So you don't get a coach.
Can you reinstate the original person that was in there?
We're in the middle of a motion.
Okay, I'm sorry,
Yeah,
I'm
that's
sorry.
So as part of this discussion, I voted yes because I didn't want the girls to be without a coach. What happens if this goes back into deliberations?
So the answer is if the motion is defeated, then at the current time, correct me if I'm wrong, Dr. Tehan, there will be no coach as it stands right this very minute, and the superintendent would have to come back with either the same or a different recommendation. Is that?
We would have to have a special meeting to do that.
It can not be done within this meeting?
We could do it tonight if the board doesn't adjourn the meeting, yes.
Okay.
We'd have to go into executive discussion first, though.
Correct.
We can call it
So the
special.
motion's on the floor right now, we're in the discussion phase of the motion, and then we'll go to a roll call as soon as everybody's said what they'd like to say.
If we go into executive session, we don't need to make a decision tonight. We can call a special session to vote on it as long as we give the public 48 hours notice. That's correct. For a special vote, is that correct?
A special meeting does require 48 hours notice, yes.
Because I'm not prepared to make any kind of decision tonight if we rescind.
I don't have the information to make the decision.
I didn't have the information many times.
It sounds like you're making a motion to rescind the appointment.
That's correct.
That's what you're looking to do.
Yes.
So then that's where we're at. We're not looking to go into executive to discuss anything further then.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Has the person that we approved tonight been told they were being put up for approval?
Yes.
So we're being asked to do exactly what we were told we were guilty of doing.
That's true.
And what you did in the...
You're doing what you did.
People, though, that.
Besides your own self.
Not, sir,
This is the people.
this is board discussion, this is not respectfully public discussion. Continue.
Since this is personnel, I would suggest we go into executive session for it.
Yeah.
We're in the middle of the motion. If Mr. Cornell would like to withdraw the motion, that's his prerogative.
To do what? Go into...
Yes, to go into closed session, if you'd like. You have a motion on the floor right now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
The review just going to come back and put the motion...
Yeah, I guess that's what
Okay.
Dr. Tehan is
Yes,
asking.
I would, I'll do that.
You'll withdraw the motion pending discussion in closed
Yeah.
session?
And we'll come back in and discuss.
Okay, so the motion is withdrawn.
Okay, so now, people, we cannot hear each other.
I will be back.
Well, you can't be quiet.
We gotta change the meeting hours.
You won't be able to-
I thought about it before you
All
said.
right, so, we made the motion, we're gonna make the motion again, to go into executive session, and now we have to add to that, discuss a personnel item, as well as those items that were listed before. Okay?
I guess we should tell the public that action may be taken when we
Yes,
come out of
absolutely.
closed session.
Yes. Okay, we have to, so I have the motion.
Can I ask a question? Do we have the rights to coach?
Let me discuss the legal implications in closed session.
Okay.
Okay? All right, I have a motion.
Second. I didn't get, who was the second?
Derek.
Who was the first? Linda.
Okay.
Motion to move to executive, right?
Yes.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye. Any opposed?
Any opposed? All right, we'll go out that way again. No. After further discussion, there will be no action taken. The action that was taken during the course of the regular meeting regarding item 64 stands as approved. Okay. So,
Did you want to explain in terms of timing, Dr. Tehan, with appointments?
No matter what the position is in the district, when somebody's appointed to a position, it's always contingent upon verification of all their documentation, which requires also the fingerprinting and the background check. So even though somebody's approved tonight, doesn't necessarily mean they can start tomorrow. It depends on that background check and when that comes in.
But mention about the other person that we have that will be, it's going to be participating, right? The other coach?
Oh, Coach Black?
Yeah, she'll be participating in the interim, right?
Right, she would already be here, so, she went through this process already, so we don't have to wait for all that documentation, so there's no hold up with her.
There was one other point I wanted to clarify. There was some discussion before about board members making motions to appoint people or transfer people or terminate people. The public should understand that by New Jersey law, the Board of Education cannot make a motion to appoint somebody. They can't make a motion to put somebody on the agenda without Dr. Teehan's recommendation. By law, Dr. Teehan has to recommend all personnel actions. And without Dr. Teehan's recommendation, a board member can't, in and of him or herself, appoint somebody to a position in the school district. So I just wanted to clarify that point for everybody as well.
Who removes those names? When somebody's been added to the docket and then removed, who's responsible?
The board president and the superintendent collectively work on the agenda, and additions and deletions are typically done as a team between the administration and usually the board officers.
So are they in the interviews?
And I do want to talk about the board agenda, so everyone's aware of how this works, because you started it. When we create an agenda, it's about a week and a half process to create an agenda. And anywhere along the lines before it actually becomes public, things get changed on an agenda all the time, for all different reasons. And, just because the public hears about something that is supposedly going to be on the agenda, doesn't necessarily really mean it's on the agenda. It doesn't really be considered on the agenda until it becomes public. And that's when, usually on the Monday or the Tuesday before the board meeting, that's when it becomes public. Furthermore, at any time during a board meeting, an item can be removed or it can be added based upon the board's decision. So I just want to put that out there. That's it.
So someone can be told they're hired by the principal and then taken off the agenda?
Just to be clear, the principal, even the superintendent, doesn't have the authority to hire anybody without it being presented to the Board of Education for an up or a down vote. And it requires, any personnel actions on this particular board requires 6 yes votes in order to be appointed. So nobody can appoint somebody. Somebody can say, I'm recommending that you be appointed. It's going to be presented to the board, but nobody can appoint without
So maybe
this
the
board.
process needs to be changed then?
It's the law.
But that's the law. So, and maybe if that's what people are being told,
Somebody
that
should be
needs to be
told that they're being
clarified.
hired. They just need to be approved after that. Probably should have changed.
Or it would be explained the other way, saying,
People need to be told that perhaps they're being recommended, but it ultimately has to come before this body for an up or a down vote. That's all I have, thank you.
So can anybody explain why Graham was taken off the agenda? Is anybody willing to discuss?
Because you were in the interview. That's
Like I
where-
said, the board cannot discuss personnel in public. Like I said before, you're allowed to discuss personnel, but the board should not be discussing why somebody was recommended, not recommended, and so forth. That would be a violation of their confidentiality rights.
Okay, so we are at the point where the executive session is closed. We're in session in order to adjourn this meeting, correct?
We are back in public, yes, and if there's no further business, somebody should make a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
We're done.